Adventure Tourer. This is the adventure bike market, or adventure sport, dual sport. Well, this is the adventure tourer category. So this is the plus 1000cc, so 1000cc's or more. It's got a big engine. It's got generally a shaft drive and obviously generally a big bike. So the adventure tourer category is full of bikes like the V-Strom, the 1000cc V-Strom, the Super Tenere from Yamaha, the Explorer from Triumph, obviously the BMW GS and the GSA from BMW. You know, there's a whole heap of bikes that fit into that category, and Ducati Multistrada, of course. But most of them have this formula. So they're a big engine, shaft drive. Generally they've got wire wheels. Some of them don't. Some of them don't even have a 19-inch front wheel, and that's probably more because they're not designed to go as far off-road as some are. So, but this particular bike is Honda's version. So it's the Honda VFR 1200 Cross Tourer, shaft drive, V4, 19-inch front wheel, wire wheels. And if you've seen any of my early videos, this is the bike that started Big Bike Adventures. But this bike was designed kind of really to fit into that market that BMW had captured. And this is a bike that's very, very capable. And as I said, if you've seen any of my early videos, you'll know that it's very, very capable of doing long distances off-road. I've taken this bike out into Central Australia, no problems whatsoever. It's designed, and my wife and I have taken this for, you know, 5,000 or 6,000 kilometre trips in 10 days. I mean, this bike is designed to be fully loaded, lots of luggage, pillion, just load it up and go. That's the whole idea behind this type of bike. It's an adventure tourer, and if you run out a bit sealed road, it doesn't really matter so much, because look, you've got a decent set of tyres on this, some knobbies or some crossover tyres. It's a very, very capable bike on all conditions, and you know, we've done lots and lots. My wife and I have lots and lots of kilometres together on this bike, and it's absolutely fantastic. So that category of big adventure tourers is a really, really good one. There's plenty to choose from out in that marketplace. So this is the adventure bike market, or adventure sports. I don't know. Adventure sports is a category that Honda phased when they bought out the initial Africa Twin. It's called the Africa Twin Adventure Sport. It was the 650 back in the 80s, and they've recently just bought out, as you know, the Africa Twin Adventure Sport, which is the 30th anniversary of that bike. So adventure sport, I don't think it's been classified as a category yet, but certainly an adventure bike these days is categorised as something like this, the Africa Twin. Now, there's so many bikes in this market. You know, they all do them. Suzuki do them, Yamaha do them, KTM, Kawasaki, they all do them. They've all got a bike that kind of fits into this category. But in reality, you know, obviously BMW as well. In reality, this is the kind of bike that most people that are going to be doing any long distances, not touring like you do on the cross tourer, but in terms of long distances, even just to get to where you're going to go and have an adventure. So this is a perfect bike for those trips where you've got to ride 1,000 kilometres to get to the 2,000 or 3,000 kilometres off-road riding that you've got to do, or you've got to ride a few hundred k's between transport sections so that you can actually do the things off-road and explore the places off-road that you want to be able to do. Like in a couple of weeks, I'm going away with Neil, my mate on his GS, and we're going to do a few thousand kilometres on our bikes, and it's going to be a mix of both road and off-road. But the only reason we're going to be doing the road section is to get to the off-road section. So that's kind of where these bikes fit into the market. Now, the key things with these bikes is, again, this is a 1000cc, but you're talking probably anything from a 750 up to a 1000cc bike is going to fit into this category. It's got a 21-inch front wheel. That's a key point. That makes it a proper off-road bike. Having a 21-inch front wheel is really the big difference between a bike that's capable of going off-road and just a kind of a normal kind of road bike that can go off-road. That 21-inch front wheel sets this apart as a dirt bike. The configuration is it's a high-seated, wide handlebarred capable of carrying long loads. So you'll see I've actually now got the Moscow Moto pannier racks on this thing. Well, they're Barrett racks, but I've got the Moscow Moto wedges on there. So I'm going to do a video about the luggage shortly. But that's the configuration for this. It's a big bike. You can do lots of kilometres comfortably, but you can also ride it off-road. And some of the places that we've had our Africa Twins and our big bikes are the sort of places you may want to take a smaller bike, but they're quite capable of doing that. Lots of suspension travel, good ground clearance, 21-inch front wheel. They're kind of the things you need to look for a big off-road capable adventure bike. Well, here we've got the bike that would be considered a dual sport. This is like a dirt bike. And again, in this category, there's just so many of them. Everybody does them. This is my XR650R, the Honda XR650R. 650 single cylinder CC engine, 21-inch front wheel, spokes, high ground clearance, lots of travel. This is a great bike for blasting through the bush for the shorter trips. Now, having said that, I know plenty of people who ride the KLR 650, the DR 650, and even the XR 650, and every manufacturer's got a bike that kind of fits into this category. Even a lot of the non-famous bikes, SMW, and a lot of little spin-offs have all got a bike that fits into this category. So there's so many available, so many bikes available in this category. The great thing about these, they're relatively light, incredibly cheap, super reliable, and will just go forever. The downside is that because it's a single cylinder 650, they're not all that great on long distances. Yes, I know people do them for long distances, but it's a lot easier to bang out 1,000 kilometres in a day on a 1,000cc twin cylinder or multi-cylinder bike than it is to do it on a 650cc. So the style of bike that you're getting with this is one that's kind of spending more time in the dirt, spending more time off-road and exploring those kind of more remote regions, but maybe not doing it for quite as long a period of time. This is the sort of bike that I would ride across the desert in really deep sand, but I would probably prefer to do that with the support of a support vehicle, four-wheel drive or something like that to carry all the gear, because it just makes it so much easier to do it. But again, having said that, there's plenty of people out there who do those trips unsupported and fully loaded themselves. So it's up to you. Not my style of thing. Maybe I'm getting old, a bit old for doing that. But it's a great bike. And all the bikes that fit into this category are, pretty much the same. They're the same kind of format. The thing with the XR, of course, is that it's a Kickstarter only, which can be a bit of a problem if you flood it and drop it, and particularly if you've got it fully loaded and you're on the side of a hill and things are all awkward. But essentially, lots of reliability, pretty simple to maintain. Air filters are easy to access, oil filters are easy to access. Service intervals on these are a lot shorter normally, particularly on this type of bike, than the bigger bikes, but things like the DR650s and the KLRs and all those sorts of things have got more extended service intervals than these anyway. So look, they're a great bike. So the XR650 is a little bit different in the sense that it's actually a kind of more of a race bred bike, but across the board it's actually got, in Australia these things came out with a pretty reasonable subframe, so you can actually still load them up, and in essence it's a great bike to go exploring on. And as I've said, there's plenty of people out there that have done it. This is I would call a short range adventure bike. So a week, 2 weeks maybe, weekends, going away camping, lots of dirt road, and you would take this bike based on the kind of conditions you'd be riding in. So it's mainly dirt, mainly off-road, mainly kind of really rugged stuff, difficult terrain, then the smaller bike is obviously going to be better. Now, I don't have a smaller bike than this, but if I did, I'd have a look at the 250s, the CRF 250s, WR 250s, and the DR 250s or 200s. There's lots of little bikes, and there's plenty of guys out there who are riding the smaller bikes across deserts and just using them as a really, really lightweight bike. and not necessarily unsupported, but they may do the transport sections on the back of a trailer. You know, having said that, I know guys who ride the WR250 and they'll actually change the front sprocket out for a bigger sprocket when they're doing the highway run, and then change it back to a smaller one when they're doing the off-road stuff. So lots of options, lots of flexibility around it. But yeah, that's it. So you've got the Adventure Tourer, the Adventure Bike, and then the Dual Sport, and that's the category of bike that you've got designed around a specific application. It's very, very difficult to find one that's going to do everything, but you know, if you're fortunate enough to have a couple of different choices like I do, then it's great. If not, find a bike that's going to be able to do everything for you, because there's so many choices out there at the moment. Absolutely fantastic. Howling a Gale, we're in a bit of a change of season here in Australia at the moment. We're a few days away from summer. As you can see, beautiful sunny sky. It's actually quite warm, but it's howling a breeze, so there's a change coming through. So, all right, thanks for watching.